Paradigms control the results in your life. They have the power over everything. And you know, when you shift your paradigm, everything in your life improves. You see, the programming is everything. Now, the programming that we received has been given to us from other people. They're not our ideas. We inherited them. That's why we speak the language we speak. That's why we do the things we do. It's why we treat people the way we treat them. Now think about this. Everything is programmed into a habit. Your body is like a computer. It's just like a computer terminal. It'll only do what it's programmed to do. If you're trying to do PowerPoint on something that hasn't got a PowerPoint program, you're never going to get it. If you go onto a computer that has power, easily to build the PowerPoints. See, it all has to do with programs. And we have people write programs. We think they're pretty brilliant. They're techies. Well, you know something? You're a techie. You're pretty brilliant. And you can write a program. And you can write the program that's going to give you the life you want. There's nothing complicated about it. Do you know what you have to do? You have to get rid of the old program. That's right. And because you can't put something where something already is. Now, if you're sitting on a chair, understand this. You can't put anything where you and the chair are until you move it. Nature abhors a vacuum. You've got to create a space for the good that you desire. So we've got to create a space for the good that we desire in our life. Now, take a look at what is holding most people back. It's paradigms. They're locked into old paradigms. You could say, what's holding me back? You know, I would imagine you probably work pretty diligently at whatever you're doing. Stop and think of the person that's playing golf. Do you know, most people that play golf never take lessons. They don't. They go out there and they just figure out that they're going to go and do it. Can you imagine learning how to fly a plane without taking lessons? I don't think so. If I was going to get in a plane that you got in, I would want to go to the very best pilots in the world, and I'd want them to show me how to do it. Why don't we do that with everything? Why don't we do that with earning money? Do you know, I have people come to seminars from all over the world so that we can show them how to earn money. Earning money is easy to do. I believe if you haven't got multiple sources of income, you're missing the mark. You should have more sources of income than you can keep track of. You can hire somebody to keep track of them for you. And then you're earning more money and you can do more things and you can have a more interesting life. But if we're going to learn anything, we're going to have to get somebody to teach us. Now, short of that, I was remembering one time I was teaching a seminar in Indiana, and I said, there's always someone that can do things better than you're doing them. And this man said, there isn't anybody in the world that does what I'm doing better than I do it. And I thought, well, I've got an interesting one here in my hands. And it turned out he was right. He built those remote control model planes. He had the biggest company in the world. He used to take them, he was in Chicago, he used to take them down to Wrigley Field and demonstrate them. You see? Well, I had been reading the night before what to do. Thomas Troward said that in that case, you go to the Fonte Rigo, you go to the fountain and source within. I think that's where Bill Gates went. I think that's where the Wright brothers went. I think that's where Edison went. I think that's where Einstein went. And I think that's where you and I should go when we run up against something that we can't solve and there's no one that we can find that can help us fix it. But if we want to learn things, let's get our ego out of the road and let's understand that we've got the intelligence to learn anything we want to learn. But we're going to have to go to a good teacher. Now, I was talking about money a few minutes ago. If you want to learn how to earn money, go to someone that knows how to. Don't go to your next door neighbor. He probably doesn't know any more than you do. When you watch golfers, you'll see them out there, they're talking to each other. None of them know how to golf. And they spend an absolute fortune. They buy new clubs, they buy new balls, they go to new, and trying to break 100, they're ready to throw the clubs away. Why not go to a pro? Just the slightest shift in your hand, and that ball will go out like a clothesline. But if you don't make that shift, that ball is going to go right into the water. And isn't it strange, if you think it's going to go into the water, it'll go in the water? Do you know that the image you hold in your mind controls the chemical makeup of your body? Jack Nicklaus calls that going to the movies. Well, most people are held back in whatever they're doing by old paradigms. Now, paradigms influence your thinking. They influence my thinking. My paradigm influences my thinking. Yours influence you. Now, if you want to change your way of doing things, you're going to have to override the paradigm, and that's not an easy thing to do, and it can be scary. It can cause a lot of discomfort. Paradigms control what you do. So if you're going to change what you do, you have to make up your mind you're going to override the paradigm. Now, I want you to think of this for a moment. Feeling is a word that we've invented to describe our conscious awareness of the vibration we're in. This thing we're living in is a molecular structure. It's a mass of molecules and a very high speed of vibration. When it's in a positive vibration, we feel good. When it's not in a positive vibration, we feel bad. Positive and negative are a law. It's part of a law of opposites, a law of polarity. Well, what we want to do is we want to feel good. The vibration is controlled by the paradigm. Now, a person can be getting good results and feel pretty comfortable. You can be comfortable getting bad results. As a matter of fact, that's one of the tricky parts of this. If you're going to overcome the paradigm, you've got to do things that cause discomfort. Change the grip on your golf club. I guarantee you're going to feel very awkward. And yet that ball, boom, boom, away it goes. 250, 300 yards. You wonder, how did that happen? It felt so uncomfortable. Whenever you go to change an idea in your paradigm, you're going to set up a foreign vibration, and that causes discomfort. Now, can you change the paradigm? Absolutely, you can change the paradigm. You can change anything. God gave you complete control over your life. Now, you don't do it by yourself. You do it in harmony with God, working with God's laws. Well, how do you do it? Well, I always say there's a simple three-step process to it. Just a simple three-step process. Let's talk on one. You know, as you go to do this, you're going to find that you got to make a written statement in the present tense describing exactly how you're living. Now, that's right. And you may not like the way you're living. You've got to describe all aspects of your life. Leave nothing out. Now, think about this. You don't be reluctant to get down and write some of the negative. If there's things you don't like, don't sweep them under the rug. This is where you've got to take a look exactly like it is. It's like Ray Stanford told me. He says, Bob, you've got to look at it the way it is. I was unhappy, sick, and broke. He made me recognize it. If you don't recognize the problem, you're never going to change it. So you've got to sit down and write out the problem or your life in complete detail, in every detail you can. And then, that's the way it is. Then you take another sheet of paper. On the top of that sheet of paper, put A. Then take another sheet of paper, and the top of it, put B. And now, on the B list, I'm going to suggest that you make a statement, a written statement in the present tense. I always recommend you start by writing, I am so happy and grateful now that. And describe how you want to live, exactly how you want to live. This is going to take a little time. You're not going to do this in 15 minutes. As a matter of fact, you may take a couple of days. You may take a couple of weekends. If you're married, you might want to do it with your spouse. If you have kids, you might want to get the whole family involved in this. I told you this is strange behavior. The people up and down the street aren't doing this. But you've got to sit down and decide exactly how you want. Now, most people get locked into how they think they could do it. I don't even want you thinking of how you're going to do it. How you're going to do it is irrelevant until you decide to do it. You decide how you want to live. What kind of health do you want to enjoy? What do you want your body to be like? What kind of money do you want to earn? What kind of trips do you want to take? Who do you want to associate with? Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't spend a lot of time with anyone that isn't very positive. I just don't want to be around them. Carl Menninger from the Menninger Foundation one time pointed out, he said environment is more important than heredity. In other words, the people that we surround ourselves with have a greater impact on our life than what's built into the genes. I have a very good friend of mine, Jane Wilhite. You should look her up on the internet. Psi Seminars, PSI Seminars. It's one of the most successful seminar companies in the world. But Jane said one time, she said, I won't mix with anyone that doesn't think I'm special. And I thought, whoa. That's right. She said, I don't want to spend any time mixing with people who don't think I'm special. And then she went on to explain why. She said, if they don't think I'm special, they don't think they're special. She said, I want to mix with people that see the specialness in us. Do you know that we're God's highest form of creation? There's nothing on the planet that'll even come close to you. Well, why would you want to spend time with people that are talking about how bad things are and why they can't do this and why they can't do that? Well, I've come to the point where I don't want to spend time with people like that. Now, I have friends all over the world. I do. I have friends on almost every continent that you can think of. But you know something? They all know how special they are. And so they recognize the specialness in me. And we treat each other that way. I want you to sit down and write out exactly what you want, how you want to live, the kind of home you want to live in, the vacations you want to take, the clothes you want to wear, the people you want to mix with. This is a want list. And understand you don't have to know how it's going to happen. But describe your lifestyle in as much detail as possible. And you're going to find that as you do this, things start to happen. Now, here's the second point. I said there was 3 points, 1, 2, and 3. The second. This is the stumbling block for most people. I want you to sit down and in the present tense, write out your financial situation. Do you know most people don't know what their financial situation is? My wife was a financial planner for a long time and a very good one. She would help people really lay out their finances. In fact, it was one of the reasons that I really loved her so much in the first place, because she showed me how to do it. But you know, the average individual doesn't know what they're worth. I remember a man coming in, he's a man I know, he came in and he wanted her to help him with his finances. He had a goal of being worth $3 million. The guy was already worth $5 million and didn't even know it. Most people have no idea what they're worth. They have no idea. They really don't. They don't have a balance sheet. I have a good friend of mine that's just written a book, The Millionaire Maker, Laurel Langmeyer. You should buy the book, The Millionaire Maker. I was coaching her when she was working for Chevron for $75,000 a year. She's worth millions of dollars now. She owns over 100 companies, not countries, companies. And just taken off like a rocket. But you see, she did this. And she has people do this. You've got to sit down and lay out your financial position in as much detail as you possibly can. What all the debts are, what all the assets are. And then sit down and make a written statement of how you want your finances to be. Now, the first sheet, marked A. The second one is marked B. Now, when you're writing out the statement, how you want your finances to be, begin there by writing, I am so happy and grateful now that. And put it in as much detail as possible. How much money do you want to have? What do you want to be worth? You see, I think everybody wants to have time and money freedom. Now, what does that mean? That means that you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. You have time freedom. Keep in mind, we've all got the same amount of time. We get all there is. They have time freedom. They can go wherever they want, whenever they want. Now, if you're going to have time freedom, you're very likely going to have money freedom. You're never going to have to ask, how much does something cost? You don't have to get up in the morning and go to work because you need the money. You're earning money whether you're working or not. Your passive income should take care of your lifestyle. And you can do this. You can set it up like this. Anyone can. It's just that most don't. 1% of the population earns 96% of all the money that's being earned. It's so much out of balance, it's almost ridiculous. I want you to make a written statement. I am so happy and grateful now that, and describe your finances in as much detail as you possibly can. Now we're ready for the third step, and it's a rather interesting step. I want you to write and sign and then read the following commitment every day for the next 90 days. Now, I told you this is a little different, but you're going to program your mind. My signature represents my irrevocable commitment to view this program, to read these positive statements, to make a paradigm shift every day for the next 90 days.